there, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Washington Football's Unfiltered Show, The Beat. I am your host, Chip Brierre, and Washington Football has done the unthinkable. They handed the Pittsburgh Steelers their first loss of the 2020 season, and now everybody in burgundy and gold is thinking playoffs are in sight, but they have a familiar foe to face this Sunday. With that, we bring in the panel, starting with Matt Mayoko of NBC Sports Bay Area covering the 49ers. We have Charla McBride of WSA 9 Sports in DC, and a familiar face to the burgundy and gold, Kedrick Golston, former Washington football team defensive lineman for all 11 years of 2006 to 2016. Panel, we're going to start off with our opening drive, beginning with Kedrick. This 23-17 win over Pittsburgh is the biggest since when?
Ironically enough, 2012 when we won the division with RG3, but you rewind that was a season that got off similar to this one. We were 3-6. Everybody kind of counted us out. We end up coming out of the bye, beating Philadelphia, New York, Dallas, all three in a row. Because the division was so bad, those were kind of, hey, toss-up games. Baltimore comes to Landover, Maryland. We end up beating an excellent Baltimore team similar to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then that propelled us into a playoff run where we won the division in the last game of the year and ended up hosting a playoff game.
Charla, the best performance in the win was who?
This is a tough one because a lot of guys had great games. Alex Smith had a great game. Of course, Logan Thomas, a breakout game. Cam Sims had a great game. Chase Young with that goal line stand there. But I'm going to go with John Bostic. That interception was the play of the game that got Washington fans on their feet and ultimately turned this game over and gave Washington that victory. So John Bostic.
Hopefully it did. Yeah, hopefully a dinner is in the order for Montez Sweat, who set up that interception for John Bostic late. You know, you always got to reward the guys who set you up for success. Now, Matt, San Francisco, what's the biggest takeaway from that win for Washington that the 49ers are going to try and focus on?
Well, it's just that this is not going to be an easy task. You know, I think when the 49ers looked at their schedule early in the season, before all of the injuries, they're kind of looking at that one like, okay, let's chalk that one up into the win column. But now, obviously, Washington's playing very good football. Our old friend Alex Smith is leading we like to say that he's leading the 3-game winning streak, playing some good football, right? I mean, he's not making mistakes. He's doing all the things you expect Alex Smith to do. So now, all of a sudden, the 49ers 5-7 record looks a heck of a lot worse than Washington's 5-7 record. Teams seem to be going in opposite directions, and right now, both teams are in the playoff hunt, but because of the division that they play in, Washington's a lot more in the hunt than the 49ers are.
And I'm going to open this up to the panel in general because Alex Smith is now beloved in Washington for what he's been able to do. He's now 9-4 in a full 60-minute start as the starting quarterback for the Washington football team. A lot of people on social media told me he has 5 losses. That was the Texans game where he had the injury. I'm not counting that. Without Alex Smith right now, panel, is this Washington football team in consideration for the playoff race? Anybody can take it from here.
I mean, I absolutely think that Alex Smith is really the key to leading this team going forward. We've seen what he's been able to do. We've seen this 3-game winning streak that they have right now. When he's on the field, he's calm, cool, and collected, and he's doing everything right. He's not making too many mistakes. He's finding different targets as we're going along. At first, he was really relying on Terry McLaurin, but he had to change things up against the Steelers. As we saw, they were double teaming McLaurin. So then he was able to get the ball to Logan Thomas. He was able to reach out to Cam Sims. So we're seeing Alex Smith play smart football and get it to the different guys that are open and look out over the whole field.
Absolutely. I mean, because the division's so bad, the Washington football team with Alex Smith at the helm has a chance to make a playoff run. The thing that you like about Alex and from a coaching perspective you love about him is you know what you're going to get from him. So now you are able to open up the offense. Earlier on in the season, Washington just didn't have that stability at that position, but now the coordinators are able to game plan to get guys open to attack how defenses are trying to attack them.
Yeah, and last time these two teams played last year in a slot fest, 9-0 for the 49ers, and Alex Smith wasn't the quarterback, and it did end up getting them Chase Young, but a lot has changed since then. Do you feel Washington has a little bit of a chip on its shoulder to prove last year was just a fluke?
I hadn't even really thought about that, because that team that was out there having so much fun, it's not the same team. Nick Bosa hasn't played since week 2. DeForest Buckner is no longer around. Dee Ford's not around. I mean, it's such a different team that I don't know that there's a whole lot of carryover from that. Obviously, the guys who were with Washington last year, they remember that. I mean, that wasn't a real fun thing to have a team come into your home stadium and treat it like it's, Waterworks Park or something. So, that might be remembered on that end. I'm not sure it's remembered all that much here, because it seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, 49ers went to the Super Bowl, Charla.
Yeah, and to add to that, it's a completely different team. But you said, the fans, they're not going to forget about that. But the players, not that they're forgetting about it. I think they're not so much playing with a chip on their shoulder for this game, that they're playing to win, because they know they are still in this hunt for this title of the division. So I think above anything else, it's not so much playing for revenge against this team in particular. They're just playing to win a ball game, another ball game, to try to get them to January football.
Every game counts now, with 4 left on the schedule for Washington. Even for the 49ers, who still a slim chance they can make a run at this thing, even though the NFC is difficult all the way through. I'm hearing my dog barking. I don't know if I'm out of time to get to the break or there's a dog outside. Either way, we will take that break with our panel and come back for upvote, downvote predictions and who we're watching this weekend. You're watching The Beat. Keep it locked.
We all know things are different. Keeping you safe is not. At Innova, we ensure the safety of everyone who comes to us with safe locations, safe supplies, safe cleaning, and safe practices. You're safe at Innova. Get the facts at innova.org/safety.
It's 2020. Let's make a splash. Play the DC Lottery's Roaring Cash.
Free healthcare. Hundreds to more than $1,000 per month in disability compensation and tens of thousands for college tuition. These are just some of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs benefits that may be available to veterans. VA is focused on customer service like never before. Choose VA and see why veterans' trust in VA reached an all-time high. Claim the benefits you've earned at choose.va.gov.
DC has a home for the greatest hits of all time.
That would be Michael Jackson for me.
DC's greatest hits.
Madonna.
Billy Idol. Live here.
Cyndi Lauper.
Bon Jovi.
94.7.
Blondie. The Eagles.
The Drive.
Welcome back to The Beat with your host, Chip Brierre. We have Kendrick Golston, Charlotte McBride, and Matt Mayoko. And we're gonna go into upvote, downvote. This is a popular segment. A lot of people enjoy it, especially if you're a Reddit user like myself. Don't find my username. You don't want to see the subreddits I'm on. I promise, it's safe for work. But we go into it right away with these last 4 games. And we'll start with Charlotte here, and then the panel can quickly jump in. Washington will win 2 or 4 games, somewhere in that range, to finish out the season. Are you gonna upvote or downvote that?
I'm going to upvote. I think they're going to win 3 games. I think that they're going to win this game. I think they're going to beat Carolina, and I think they're going to beat Philly.
I think this 49ers game is going to be a lot tougher than it was last week in Pittsburgh. You're talking about Pittsburgh, which is scheduled due to COVID, has been changed daily. They don't know if they're going to be able to practice. They don't know who's going to be able to play. The 49ers are a good football team that's getting healthy, and they understand that their losses have been to competitive football teams. If you look at the Washington football team's wins, it's been against components with losing records and so on and so forth. Albeit Pittsburgh was a quality win, the 49ers are going to go into this game confident, looking for using this as a stepping stone to continue to make their push towards the wild card.
A unique game setting too, because they will be playing in Arizona, and Kyle Shanahan 1-3 in Arizona as the head coach of the 49ers. We move on, Matt, to your category. The 49ers will have more rushing yards than the Washington football team. Antonio Gibson dealing with turf toe. So J.D. McKissick, Peyton Barber expecting to pick up the load there. Are you going to upvote or downvote?
I'm going to upvote for that one. I'd say yes, the 49ers will have more rushing yards. And, I mean, you saw what Kyle Shanahan can do with a running game during his 4 years in Washington. Doesn't matter who the running backs are. He finds a way. Trent Williams is playing pretty good football. Raheem Mostert is back. They don't necessarily just do it with one guy. They mix guys in. Bobby Turner, of course, one of the best running backs coach probably in the history of the game. So yeah, the 49ers will be able to get the run game going. I'm pretty confident.
Chase Young has been playing to dominate. He did so against the Steelers despite not getting a sack. Charlie, you mentioned that 4th and goal stop that really changed the outlook of the game. We're going to start with you on this upvote, downvote. Chase Young will beat Trent Williams for at least 1 sack on Nate Mullen.
I'm going to go yes, because for all of us that watched that game, he came so close to sacking Big Ben. He was right there. He was hurrying him. He would get right up there. And then, of course, Ben would get the ball away. He wants it. He can taste it. He had that huge stop on 4th and 1 at the goal line there. And then towards the end of the game, he was really giving Big Ben that pressure. He's right there. He wants this. He wants that sack. I think he might have 2. I'm predicting 2 sacks.
2. Okay, panel. We're going to go. Let's bump it up. 2 sacks.
I'll say this. I'm a huge fan of Chase, what he's done. He's come in. Mike Tomlin told us how good of a player he is.
Yes.
In the game this past week by understanding there's just not guys like you walking around the NFL, let alone the street. But Trent Williams is that type of athlete as him. And so I would say that Trent is going to rise to the occasion. Chase will probably get a sack, but it's probably going to be off a naked bootleg. But on that one-on-one pass pro, I think that Trent will rise to the occasion and show the young fella just what that type of talent that Trent possesses looks like on a down in and down basis.
Okay, so Charlotte, if he gets 2 sacks, it's going to be against Mike McGlinchey on the other side. He's not getting a sack on Trent Williams.
Not against Trent Williams.
Okay. So you're going to downvote this,
I'm
Matt.
downvoting that.
All right, we'll see.
We will indeed. It's going to be such a tantalizing matchup. The former left tackle Washington football team and the new generational talent coming off the edge. I can't wait for it. We round out the upvote, downvote segment with this. Washington football season is a success only if they make the playoffs. Kedrick, let's start with you.
No, they do not have to make the playoffs for this season to be a success. Coach Rivera has been steady in his message of creating a culture of sustainable winning. Obviously, he probably could have made some decisions earlier on to win a ball game here or a ball game there, but he stayed true to his beliefs because he understands that he's trying to get everything the way it needs to be to have a sustainable success year in and year out here. So the focus should be on just continuing to grow as a program.
Despite my background here, I'm going to be the Grinch. The division is so bad, and they've come this far that I say it is not a success because they're too good to get a good draft pick. They've come this far, they almost have to get in because also part of the reason they will get into the playoffs or not get into the playoffs is with the quarterback that isn't going to be around for the long haul. You know, my thought would be, as great as Alex Smith is, a person, all that, will Washington be where they want to get eventually with Alex Smith at quarterback? And my answer to that is no. It's either got to be a complete flame out of a season and you get a good draft pick who can really help you for the future, or if you're coming that close, you got to get in.
Yeah, Matt, you really echo the voice of the fans who have been on the fence about this all season long, and that's why we brought it up. So thank you for your take on that. That is upvote, downvote, and now very quickly we go into predictions for this game. Matt, since you wrapped it up in that last segment, kick us off. What do you think this game's going to go?
Well, Washington fans should be cringing because I think I've been wrong on every 49er game this season because they're a tough nut to crack. But I think that Washington has something to play for. Not that the 49ers don't, but it's more of a long shot. I think they're on a roll. They've been able to establish some consistency, whereas the 49ers haven't. So I like Washington in this game. Let's go 27-24.
All right, I'm echoing a lot of what you just said. I believe that Washington's starting to find that consistency, and they are on a roll. They have that 3-game winning streak. They're starting to find what works and what doesn't, especially on the offense. And I think it's going to be a defensive battle, though, in this one. I'm going to go 17-10. Washington will win this game.
You know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Oh, here we go.
I know where my heart is. I believe that with Kyle and his offensive mind, they're going to neutralize one of the best strengths of the Washington team in the defensive front and really stress those guys out just from a schematic standpoint. So I believe that it's going to be a higher scoring game, but I do think that San Francisco wins 24-17.
Okay, so we're 2 for 3 on Washington. Kedrick had to be the sour apple there. That's okay. That's why we love having this segment. Last bit, who are we watching this weekend? Kendrick, let's start with you. It could be a player, it could be a coach, it could be an executive, it could be a stadium, anything. Who or what are you watching this weekend?
Well, I think on all jokes aside, I want to know what the field is going to look like in Arizona. Who's going to paint it? Is San Francisco flying in their grounds people, or the Arizona who's going to take it over? And are they going to really paint over all the Cardinals apparel? No, all jokes aside, we touched on it earlier. I mean, I want to see Chase Young against Trent Williams. You're talking about 2 generational talents. You're talking about guys that were both top 5 picks. We all know what Trent can do. We believe in what Chase is going to become in this league. So I think that's must-watch TV, down in and down out.
Well, I was going to say, just from Terry McLaurin is a guy that can run. Richard Sherman, he's struggling against guys who can run a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what the 49ers do matchup wise, as far as how much zone, how much man coverage, and when they do get those man shots, are they gonna try to go deep?
I'm anxious to see how this Washington defensive front is going to be against Nick Mullins and Kyle Shanahan's offense. I'm gonna be really watching for this because Washington has a lot of great guys up front now. And you got Montez Sweat, you got Chase Young. This line's been doing good things the last 3 weeks. And Nick Mullins, okay, he has 6 interceptions his last 4 games. Not awful, but I'll be interested to see in what goes down in this Niners offense versus those guys up front, the Washington defense.
All we can say with absolute certainty is that the interesting factor is at a 10, maybe even an 11, as was our panel in this week's show of The Beat. Want to thank them for joining us. Matt Mayoko of NBC Sports Bay Area covering the 49ers, Charlotte McBride of WUSA 9 Sports in DC, and Kedrick Golston, the former Washington football team defensive lineman. We will see you again next time, but until then, enjoy the game on Sunday. Have a great weekend.
At Honda, we take the holidays seriously. With serious style and serious capability. So while others may be decking the halls, you could be dashing through the snow with the best value of the season. Now's the best time to get into a new Honda. KBB.com's best value brand for 2020. Visit Happy Honda Days at your local Honda dealer or shop online to get a great offer on the HR-V.
FanDuel's simple, intuitive app makes it easy to get closer to the game. But to get Dan even closer, we've arranged for him to experience a genuine James Harrison tackle.
Wait, what? Tackle? Can we not do the tackle?
If he doesn't tackle you, he doesn't get paid.
Doesn't get paid? Okay!
FanDuel. Join today and play free all season long.
It's 2020. Let's make a splash. Play the DC Lottery's Roaring Cash.
At Inova, COVID-19 testing of all patients having a procedure or surgery, continuous training of our team members, and thorough cleaning of our facilities are just some of the many ways we work to keep you safe. You're safe at Innova.
DC has a home for the greatest hits of all time.
That would be Michael Jackson for me.
DC's greatest hits.
Madonna.
Billy Idol. Live here.
Cyndi Lauper.
Bon Jovi.
94.7.
Blondie. The Eagles.
The Drive.
It's all-wheel drive season, and your local Honda dealers are bringing the best deals of the year. It's clearance pricing during the Happy Honda Days sales event. Dash through the snow to a rugged and adventurous Honda. Check out the entire all-wheel drive truck and SUV lineup. CRV, HRV, Ridgeline, Pilot, and Passport, with features like Honda Sensing, magic folding seats, and 3 different driving modes. Clearance pricing is here, but it won't last long. Don't miss clearance pricing at the Happy Honda Days sales event, now at your local Honda dealer.